Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Bird, founder of Aquacon and as well the Acquisition IQ podcast. We are excited to have our special guest, Tucker Nielson. Tucker launched his career on Wall Street as an equities trader at Goldman Sachs, then shocked his peers by walking away to follow his entrepreneurial calling. Since then, he's built and led multiple lean, high performing startups, launched and managed venture and family funds, and now co leads Firm 3, a private equity firm that buys, grows, and exits businesses across diverse industries. With a sharp eye for operational efficiency and capital deployment, Tucker brings both Wall Street savvy and a scrappy founder grit to every deal he touches. When he's not investing, you'll find him flying, exploring the globe with his wife, and chasing big ideas with his family. What a great intro.
That sounds amazing. Sounds like I have an amazing life.
Well, I think that there are obviously seasons that you can have good lives, and seasons that you're challenged and you're walking up that mountain. It's interesting. I heard though the other day that fruit grows in the valley. Did you know that?
I've not heard that, but
Yeah.
it's a good statement.
Because if you're always on the mountaintop, then there's never going to be any fruit up there.
Right.
It's going to be super windy and cold. Anyway, I want to dive into this podcast. Typically we talk about, finances and accounting. We talk about private equity. We talk about investments. We talk about holdcos. We talk about all the things that you were saying that, it's not quote unquote popular to talk about, but there's a lot of things that are happening in today's society and then also business as a whole. So share with us a little bit of your background and then also how'd you get into private equity?
Yeah. So started at Goldman, and it was pretty apparent from the very beginning that I knew it wasn't going to be like a long-term place for me. My father owned his own business, and that played a big role in like how I see the world, and so I always kind of knew that I was going to be my own boss. I didn't know what that meant. I left the firm, and my wife and I moved to San Diego. I joined a startup there, and we enjoyed the sunshine. We started our family there, but Salt Lake was always home, so moved back home, and I started in the family business, which is multifamily housing, so building apartment complexes. And I had two projects. Tried to get two projects up and off the ground, and just kind of had a failure to launch because I was very young. I was in my 20s, and I couldn't get the apartment thing going on. So I started looking for a business to buy, and I got hired by. I found a business that was interesting, and I was a little bit short on cash for the guy wanted to be bought, the owner wanted to be bought out, and he wanted a big check right at the table, and I was a little shy of the cash requirement. And so he's like, why don't I hire you as president of the company, and you can like run it, and if you can grow the business,
X
here,
amount, yeah.
then you'll have enough cash to buy me out. Whatever. So that's what we did, and I really worked hard at it, and grew the business and did my very best at it. It came time to actually buy. I learned some hard lessons in that transaction. The end result was through that transaction I was able to meet other partners and other businesses, and they're like, Tucker, you're young and talented. Why don't we start? You're an operations guy. We can start a venture fund, and you can find these deals and kind of run, be the supervising runner of not, I don't want to say CEO, but because these were all small startups. Anyway, so it went from that to a venture fund, and it turned out to be hugely successful. Hugely for me, but we made investments, and I got to be involved in a bunch of different startups, and in all stages, from the very, very beginning to, hey, let's sell this thing for big money.
Is that differently than the current firm that you're running, Firm 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like explicitly focused on startups or very, very early stage companies.
Okay.
And
So
the fund still exists. Like we still have positions that are just
mhm,
kind of maturing and getting
just
ready to
waiting for those
wait.
liquidating events
Yeah,
or
and
liquidation events.
we had
Yeah.
one. We had one this year, which is great. So
Okay.
and kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was. So I'm no longer. I don't take a salary from that or anything.
Yeah.
That's just we have our partners and it's doing well.
Let's talk about that specific deal. Okay, let's run all the way back down to where, that gentleman says to you, because we have people that watch this and then founders out there that we like to help through that process of negotiation. And, how did that go? I know it sounded like you were just hired on, but then also, what were the two lessons maybe that you learned through that
Well,
process?
so it really started out with a friendship. So
Hmm.
I got invited to poker night with
Hmm.
some buddies, and they were all successful in their careers, and um, but a diverse range of industries, dentists, orthodontists,
Hmm.
attorneys, everybody over. And we were joking about how men of a certain age reach a certain amount of success in their life, and they're and there's a tendency to like make super bad decisions
Hmm.
and ruin your life either through getting a Vegas wife. Hey,
Yes.
we made some jokes about it, and so we said, hey, let's take that money that we would normally spend on bad decisions and put it into a fund, and let's have some at bats and let's swing for the fences. Um, and so the idea of a fund was originally kind of my idea, but it was um, just uh, you know, 9 people that had a little bit of extra cash. I mean, it was a very, very modest investment.
What'd you
Let's put it
start
that
with?
way. I think everybody put in 700 grand.
Okay. Okay.
So it was very, very.
So you
But
said
we
9 times 7, so 6 point or
Yeah,
6
so
million,
something,
something
but
like
it wasn't like everybody wrote a check and we all piled money.
that. Yeah.
It was very, very modest, so we just kind of like made calls as opportunities arose.
Okay.
But we had some experience behind us, and so I'm always have the tendency to have rose-colored glasses on, like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get me excited about an opportunity. I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And to have some partners behind me that with more experience, and just like you have more people, so there's a combined level of experience,
Mhm.
where we can talk about what are the risks, what are the opportunities, what is a likely case scenario, what's a best case scenario, what's a worst case scenario.
Let's talk about that
Yeah.
actually, the assessment of risk. I think that as investors, and we have people that watch us again that are investors and they're looking at specific deals, how do you go about a risk mitigation strategy for looking at deals?
It's a good question. So right now in my private equity company, private equity firm, I have 2 business partners, Tony Capella and Ethan White, and they're both brilliant. They're
Mhm.
both, I'm just very fortunate. They're very, very intelligent, just absolutely brilliant individuals. And they're risk adverse. Um, a lot of the deals are self-funded, so we're
Mhm.
using our own money. And if we're using investor money, these are people who started out as financial partners but have become friends over time.
Yes.
And so there's a great deal of trust there that we don't want to betray. So we're very cautious. We have everybody likes to brag about their successes, but nobody talks about their failures. And
Mhm.
we've had failure. I've had failures, and so I mean, looking back at the money that I've lost, if I could have all that money back, I'd probably retire. So it's not all peaches and cream all the time. So how do we assess risk?
Mhm.
You really have to look at. This is where my partners are really valuable because they're like, here are the factors in the marketplace that. I mean, there's a million reasons why a business might fail,
Mhm.
and 900,000 of them are completely out of your control, right?
Mhm.
So you have to see like where are the winds blowing. It's harder now because it feels like we're sailing into uncharted waters, maybe turbulent waters, and people, technology and society, like the globe is just changing so quickly, so fast that we can see a lot less further into the future with confidence than we
Mhm.
could 10 years ago.
I could see that.
So it's difficult to do that. But in looking at the opportunity, say, oh, we've got this So we buy a lot of like unsexy businesses. So
Mhm.
we like accounting firms is kind of our bread and butter. We like accounting firms, and there's like, oh, this is a company, they've been in business for 25 years, and the partners want to get out, they want this much money, and we can grow it. Your first assessment of like what you can grow, what the business could be, is usually the best case scenario. Like, so that's just typically people like, oh, I'm going to invest in the startup and it can go to here. That's your first blush at an
Deal.
opportunity is usually just is like the best it could possibly be.
Mhm.
What's the worst it could possibly be? Well, it's greater than just your investment loss, because there's liability involved and your time and energy, and so you really,
Opportunity cost as well. So the
yeah,
money that you put into that deal could have been put into something else. And
yeah. I mean, you could be spending your money, your time,
Mhm.
not just involved in a business that you may not super enjoy when you could have been, if it fails, it's hard to be not bitter about, I could have been sitting on the beach
Mhm.
doing nothing and I would have been better off, right?
True. I mean, being from San Diego, right?
Right. You're doing it.
Yeah.
My wife and I like hiking. I'm like, if I didn't even go into the office, I would have been better off.
So you are looking at one, you place a scenario that is best case scenario.
Yeah. And then there's like, okay, that's probably it's not going to be usually. Now, sometimes it is, but usually it's not going to be as quite as good as you think it's going to be.
Hmm.
So you cut it in half, and then you cut it in half again,
Okay.
and that's typically where you know where it lies. The
Yeah.
reason I like private equity, I love entrepreneurs. I love people that start businesses because they're really the kind of a keystone of our whole economy,
Mhm.
because they create value, they create wealth just
Out of thin air.
out of nothing, right? Like
Yeah.
just and it's kind of magical. Once they get to the point of profitability, and they're doing, not only have they created something out of thin air, but they're also smart enough and hardworking enough to like operate that business in a smart way where it's making money and sustainable and growing. And they're like, I've lost my passion for it, or I want to move on, or this is as good as it's going to get. I'm going to try to sell it. That's a huge filter. So like getting a business that's already been, buying a business that has already succeeded to an extent is a great way to like, you're already picking a winner in
Mhm.
some by some criteria.
So what are some ways that you as a private equity firm try to dive into making companies better?
So leveraging technology in industries where technology has not been at,
Like
where
heavily utilized.
they haven't been a change. Like accounting firms have always used kind of the same platform, and they haven't deviated from that in a while. So there's like, um, but people are more and more comfortable with phone calls and virtual meetings than in-person face-to-face meetings. More and more people are comfortable with, hey, I scanned my docs and I emailed them to you, rather
Mhm.
than showing up at a physical location and handing
Yes.
that over. So uh, also, you know, we don't just do accounting firms. We're all over the map, including we have a startup, including, but on
So
an
is that pre-seed or
pre-seed, yeah. I
okay,
mean,
got it. So early stage, early.
we're the seed, I guess.
Okay.
Um, But in an existing business is finding those key employees. Who are the key employees that are just like critical to the success of the business? And then ask them straight up questions of like, hey, if you were the CEO, what would you do differently and
Mhm.
why?
Empowering.
And who and there's I always want to, the people involved in business are really, doesn't matter if it's manufacturing or financial services or material science or whatever the business is, the people involved are where the value is. Some people add more value than others, and some people can see the vision of where the business can go, and some people have a different vision.
Mhm.
If they have a different vision, they're just fundamentally they're not gonna be adding as much value as the people who see the vision,
Mhm.
and that's not bad. It's like, okay, you know, either drink the Kool-Aid or you're out of here.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, this is not the best opportunity for you. I'm not going to waste your time. Let me help you find a different,
Yeah.
move on to a different situation. Um, so key employee identification, and then task priority, and I mean, it's not rocket science. It's
Yeah.
we're operators. I find my strengths are in operation leanness and cutting out unnecessary steps and spending money very wisely.
Yes.
A lot of businesses fail not because they don't have enough cash, but because they spend too much money.
Do you position your company as a minority or a majority owner of
Typically,
the company?
with Firm 3, typically we're a minority owner.
Okay.
Um,
So like 20 to
with
45% or like less than 51?
yeah,
you know?
it depends on the deal. There's no typical deal, but
Yeah.
I like to be in that 40% range, and then financial partners make up the
Mhm.
rest. Um,
Because I think on the other side for the operator, they don't want to feel as if the private equity firm is completely taking over their company, and I'm sure you've had conversations like that before.
yeah, it depends on the desire of
True.
the seller.
Mhm.
Sometimes they
Hands
want
off.
out, and
Yeah.
they're like, I need your help.
Okay.
So our help is, invited and appreciated, and that is the best case scenario.
When you purchase a company, how do you? Because again, you don't want to be an operator of a company that you just purchased because you are looking for multiples on your investment,
Right.
right? And then also you have to balance the time that you're going to allocate towards that specific business because
Right.
if you're a private equity firm that has multiple ownership stakes, how do you manage your time
So-
as the owner?
It's been my experience, if we acquire a business or take control of a business and say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm the new CEO,
Yeah.
being in the office every day usually is not the best use of the time
No.
for anybody.
No.
You have some hard meetings at the very beginning, like, hey, this has been the direction of the business, and now it's going to be this, or we're varying it a little bit, or ideally, it's like you guys have been grinding for 5 years, and we're bringing in some additional capital, but we're not changing direction at all. We're just going to
Go for it.
We've got some throttle now, and so just go do what you're doing, but go. If we've got growth pains, let me know. Otherwise, keep going. I'll see you Monday and Thursday for an hour, but call me if you need anything. That's my favorite situation.
Yeah.
Managing it can be difficult. Sometimes I like to be trained as an employee of like in every position from bottom to top. So initially there's a heavy time investment. It's like 60 hours a week until I'm comfortable with, I know what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And so you really get an idea of like, hey, this person is, has no title and is not paid,
They actually paid us to be a part of this.
It's actually not paid, but they are critical to the success of the company
Mm.
because they're handling all of these inputs and getting an output. Without them, and they know how to do that, and nobody else knows how to do it. And so, if you're trying to grow the company, that now becomes a pinch point, right? So not only is that person super valuable, and they may not even know the value that they're bringing, but it's
Mhm.
also, you can't just keep adding more and more work to that person. Doesn't matter how much you pay them. Like, okay, so
True.
that needs to be a scalable operation.
There's a bottleneck there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finding those that almost any business, and like if you talk to guys that have, people who own and operate large construction companies or whatever the business is, over 10, 20 years, they'll tell you the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
well, the business seems to go better if I'm focusing on talking to customers.
True.
Just letting them, they know how to do their job. I'm going to let them do their job rather than like talking to them for an hour a day.
So as a team in the private equity firm, I think that, and I've seen this to be true, some private equity like yourself are a little bit more operational heavy, where they'll dive in. Others are simply the capital that fuels the growth and then maybe helps with a little bit of strategic connections as well as vision. But
Yeah,
what do you?
we're definitely operators.
Okay. Got it.
That seems to be where our strength lies. Now we also have a great deal of of experience with, especially my partners, with adding different companies that have. So this accounting firm really is business client heavy. This one is bookkeeping. This one is personal filings. We can put them all together make everybody happy and increase valuation.
I
So
I'm glad you just brought that up because I'm thinking about now CRM integration and the technical integration that is required from one accounting. So do you integrate both, like for example, if you buy and roll up 3 or 4 accounting firms, how well maybe you haven't yet, but or how do you place all of one line of business in with the other?
you don't
Or
necessarily,
do you just keep them
I
separate?
mean, it depends on the situation. You don't necessarily have to.
Okay, got it.
So unless you're rolling for some reason, if it's super important to be under the same banner,
Okay, yeah, brand.
same brand.
Mhm.
Brand. The we're looking at a firm right now, and it's large-ish for us. We're relatively small potatoes, but there's a lot of these small independent, CPAs, accountants, and
Bookkeeping and stuff like that.
they're just one person, right? And they've made a nice living, and now they're ready to like move on. Like, hey, we'll buy your business. It's relatively easy to like bring those clients in to the main organization. If you have 2 equal organizations, it may be we have found it may be there's no reason to. On the back end, we can combine things like, hey, this is going to be one business entity, but we can operate under two different banners. So,
Have you structured your company underneath a holdco?
yeah,
Okay, and typically, like, is that one LLC or do you
one
do
one LLC,
Yeah.
and then for every deal we create an LLC
Yeah.
for that
Does
deal.
the LLC own the LLC?
We individually own the LLC, the holdco.
Yeah, the holdco.
I think there's a fault. I've seen so many layers of different LLCs because people are worried about they want to limit their liability, and I
Yeah.
think it's an illusion that protects you.
I think so. Yeah.
If you do something illegal, doesn't matter how many LLCs you have, you're going to be
You're gonna be
gonna
a
be
problem.
responsible, right? So fortunately, we don't we operate well within the bounds of the law, so that's not a problem for us. So yeah, the 3 of us own the LLC individually, the holdco, and then for every deal we structure a new LLC, and our ownership in that LLC may vary, and then
Yes.
we bring in our financial partner.
I've got a question about. I'm diving just, you know what I mean. Again, we're here with Mr. Nielsen, and he's providing us some valuable insight as to the private equity structure, how he looks at the businesses that he's acquiring, the ways that you mitigate your risk as an investor, and then also ways that you can increase the overall valuation of the companies that you are acquiring. I'm curious about because you just said that some of the LLCs that you structure, there's a differences of ownership inside of that LLC that you've just structured. Can you explain how is it typically the capital that is
Yeah.
placed from that personal
It
individual or
typically depends on
tasks?
it typically depends on the capital requirements.
Okay,
for
got
that.
it.
So if there's a
Okay.
business and it requires $1 million, and firm 3 has $500,000 on hand, so we'll bring in half of the capital, and we need to raise the other half. Well, then it's super easy. Firm 3 owns 50%, and our
Okay.
investors, one investor would own half,
Yeah.
or if somebody, for the 5 guys each wanted to put in, $100,000 a piece, they own 20%
Yeah.
of 50%.
And okay, got it. So LLC, and then there's the SPV. Do you use that as well? Or?
We haven't.
Okay, got it.
It's an option, but we haven't
But
yet.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, I'd be curious too. Do you have it structured? Because I've looked into this obviously for us and everything that we're developing, but the trust then holds the S corp
Mhm.
or C, and then right there it goes into the operating company.
Yeah.
Do you have some form of a structure like that?
Yeah, we do. My preference is LLC.
Yeah.
I've even converted from C corp to LLC.
Okay.
You can only go LLC to C corp once, right? Or
Oh, wow.
LLC to S corp once. There's just big penalties.
Okay.
But in one case, it made sense. We did do that. The company needed to be recapitalized. That's where it typically makes sense. where we're buying a C corp, um, you have to you can't own it under, you have to have a trust. Um, uh, yeah, I mean,
Okay, we're not
yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
we're not going to go too far into that, but I think that again, I'm just going down the lane here to make sure that we start to kind of uncover some of the intricacies behind an actual private equity system, and also the capital that is needed, and then also the capital that is delivered, and then the team that is required as a part of that,
Yeah.
a part of that holdco, or in essence, private equity. Um, so did you ever see yourself in this position? You know,
Uh, no,
no.
no. I mean, I didn't. When I was younger, I didn't know what middle-aged men did, for a
Mhm.
living. I knew what my dad did, um, but I'm always amazed at. There's a million ways to make a living. There's a million
There
ways
are,
to
yeah.
generate wealth, and people find their niche, and uh, I really love what I do, in particular because I get exposure to so many different things. We
Mhm.
don't just do one thing, but we get to do a bunch of different things if we're interested in it.
Mhm.
And so the interest is really kind of the first step in, like, how do we find a deal? Well, is there an interest in it? Are there people involved that we want to work with? Um, uh, do we think there's a future? Is there a future growth here, or is the market trending away from that sort of from this interest, right?
Yeah.
Um, Trying to judge the winds of change is becoming increasingly difficult, right? Just because change is happening so rapidly, like things can do 180 uh, very, very quickly. But
Yeah, you
yeah,
were
I,
talking
I
about
I
that earlier.
I love what I do just because I get to meet so many people and so many different areas. We have a startup right now. I get to work with the founders and creators of it. It's an AI, just like everyone else. It's an
Mhm.
AI startup, but these two guys have self-educated themselves to be kind of industry leaders.
Mhm.
They are smart. They know as much about AI application development as anybody, and we like each other.
Yeah, and you're just like, teach me more.
we hang out, and
Mhm.
they're I'm amazed at what they're able to do.
What's the
And
general
so,
premise, and what's the problem that company is
well, the
solving?
company's called TaxSnap, and it's using AI tools to be able to do the work of filing taxes more quickly and with fewer errors. And
Perfect.
we came across it just because we're in the accounting space,
Mhm.
and we're like, there's got to be a better tool for this. And we found one, and found two young entrepreneurs. They're twin brothers, and I've worked with them in the past. They're entrepreneurs at heart, even though they write code all day. And they're like, Tucker, we want you to be a part of this. And I'm like, I want to be a part
Yes.
of this. And so we're in bed together, as it were, and
Mhm.
going down the road. Things are changing so quickly that we're like, we started selling this product, selling well, but then we're like, we might be giving away, we might be selling, for a modest amount, because we looked around, we're like, this is the best product in the market by a
Mhm.
huge margin. This would give a firm an edge over
Every firm.
every other firm. And we're
Mhm.
like, well, who owns accounting firms? Like, hey, we own accounting firms, so let's try that. So we've got some additional things to develop,
Yeah.
but that's what we're
Well,
doing.
that's what's
So
interesting about technology. You can obviously, you in the position that you hold, and I think this would be true for many people that have private equity firms. Is you have a captive audience in essence, or customers, which would be your own businesses
yeah,
that you can test
yeah.
on. And once you get it really refined, which it sounds like you'll be able to do, then you can go
Well,
to market, a little bit
yeah,
better.
we'll see what happens. But
Mm,
yeah, I think
that's
we have
cool.
an edge there. There's not all successful accounting firms have very similar formula for success, right? They
Hmm.
treat their clients well. They're hardworking. They keep expenses under control. I mean, it's not enormously complicated.
Hmm.
Technology can change
True.
that, where you're able to do, it's just a force multiplier. There's also, we like to combine a bunch of smaller firms because there's a multiple arbitrage to be had there.
Yep.
Um,
Is
So
that the end goal in essence
not
as a
necessarily.
private equity firm? Do you want to hold and then just continue to benefit, have the benefit of a series
It,
of payouts or
it's a good question.
Mhm.
Our investors like a big exit. Like
Mhm.
they like to be able to see the nice thing about asking for money for an accounting firm or for, I don't know, a plumbing company or something that's generating cash is that there's an immediate return on their investment, right?
Mhm. Yep.
They invest and be like, this business is already operating, already making money, and this is your return on this investment. Now, if we can hold that for 12, 18 months, we're going to grow the business, and there's a chance for an exit. So if you and it can be relatively quick. A couple of years, you can go from hey, we're going to buy this at a 2.5x, and we're going to sell it at 8x. So I think the days of the technology, getting a 35x on your money, I think those days are over. Maybe who knows? I'm not an expert.
AI.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But for an investor to get a 35%
It's amazing.
return on their money and have a big exit at the end, that's
Do
attractive.
you pay out quarterly distributions, yearly distributions?
At the
Or how do you set
once
that?
things are up and operating, we like quarterly,
Okay, cool.
and we shoot for 36%
That's cool.
is our goal.
That's a goal. It's not a promise.
um, we have good track record there, so we have a record of success there. So I love cash flow. So I'm an apartment guy at the very beginning, so I like owning something that just like
generate,
generates money over time. You look really smart for hanging on to something like that.
Especially here in Utah.
But if you can make a quick exit, or if you can exit and it makes sense, then you got to do what you got to do what's best. You got to, and we have financial partners. We have to put their interest first, right? So it's
Yeah.
their desires.
I mean, to put 100,000 in and then 2 years later make 300,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's like, $200,000
Yeah,
benefit.
I built an apartment complex in St. George, small apartment complex, but I built it basically just my personal preference.
Yeah.
Like I built it so it would be super easy to manage.
Was it called the Tucker?
No, it's called Trailhead Apartments. And,
Yeah.
we built it during. I had a fantastic construction partner. He was great, but we built it over COVID, right? And so it went from an A+ deal, and then it was $1.5 million over budget on lumber, and
Makes sense.
all the things that happened. Now it was still a good deal. It was still a great project. It turned out beautiful, and I was excited to manage it. And this was something I was going to hand off to my kids, and just had every intention to hang on to it forever. And then, we got an offer, like
For 10 times how much
I mean, no, I mean it was
Yeah.
it was a really good offer.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we can't. We need, we weren't interested in selling it, but
Yeah.
the opportunity came up, and so we sold. And am I happy I did? I mean, I
You
guess
can build another one.
I mean,
Right?
I wish. Right then, things have changed. The financial situation has changed. Interest rates are a lot higher. Construction costs are high.
Yeah.
I'm a small guy and a small fish in a very, very big pond, and so I've been priced out of Salt Lake County. I can't. It's just very difficult for me to compete. So I'm looking in kind of the tertiary markets. So I've got 148 units ready to go in Cedar City, but
Yeah.
it's not
not the
penciling.
same.
It's not penciling really super
Yeah.
well. I mean, it's fine, but it's a modest return on your investment. For an investor, I have to raise a lot of cash for it.
Okay.
It's just hard to go to my partners and be like, "Hey, you should do this."
When you have something
We have
else that's
something else.
probably
Yeah.
way better or a higher return,
Way
like 20 to 30,
way higher return. Is
Okay.
it higher risk? I'm like, I mean, maybe not. I mean, we're running into supply. We've got some supply.
I guess it
risk.
depends, though, really, on what industry you want to be in to make the money you're looking at, because real estate, it's all real estate to me personally, whether it's an online real estate entity or whether it's a physical real estate play, it's all the same, really. It's just a difference of the way that it's going to return capital, and then also the timing that it returns capital. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean,
it's all systems.
there are some flashier, sexier businesses that we stay away from that could evaporate overnight.
Yeah.
We stay away from those. Accounting firms aren't going anywhere.
No.
Manufacturing companies aren't going anywhere.
that's good.
So we is there a risk that the company could close? Yeah. Is it a realistic risk? Like, it's just not realistic that 7,000 clients are going to like change accounting firms, overnight. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, so I'm going to go into this, and then we can wrap up. But I think that again, we've touched on a lot of things. We've got, you've owned this private equity firm. I want to go right into the liquidation event, though, and I think that a lot of people out there, they've got investments, they're holding, and then they get their liquidation event. Now, you own an accounting firm, and also there are tax implications on a liquidation event. How are you mitigating your taxes, and do you put that into real estate after your liquidation event?
So,
because you sold.
So there's a tax consequence for selling, right? You want to try to mitigate that as much as you can, but the good news is you're making a bunch of money. Ideally, you got to pay some taxes. Like there's not a way around it, right? You can structure it if you have a wealth planner, or if you are in a position where you have a family office. If you don't, give me a call, because we'll set one up for you so you can transfer that wealth, mitigate. You can take every advantage of whatever, not loophole, but the federal government encourages certain behaviors, and if you follow those behaviors, they reward you with a lower tax burden. So,
what are some of those behaviors?
Starting a trust, investing in other like businesses. Like our economy is kind of based upon this circular flow of dollars, and so if you're taking your money and you're going offshore, because you're out, your tax burden is going to be huge because you're just removing that capital from the economy, right? If you're ready to hey, I made a bunch of money, but I'm going to plow back in and just keep the cycle going, great. We're gonna minimize those behaviors. This is not accounting advice. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a wealth advisor. So talk to the experts for that. But also, don't be afraid of having an exit just because you have to pay taxes. Sometimes you got to take the win. Sometimes you got to hey, take chips off the table.
Well, you had more than what you had in the past, right?
That's right.
Yeah. You can put it into buying an airplane. There's actually ways you could do that, by the way. Yeah, I've got a good friend who owns a jet company there. I remember I introduced you guys.
I went and talked to him.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's
great.
Yeah. So hopefully there's a Platus in my future one day.
Well, we're excited again. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Acquisition IQ podcast. Our goal today was to help educate those individuals out there, you guys, on private equity, and not a major market BlackRock private equity firm with trillions of dollars under management, but more of a micro firm you've got going on here, and how you have one major investments, but also how you manage those, and then also some of the ways that you're kind of the passion behind it as well. Because I think that more people need to know that it's not just, hey, let's get into this deal, let's see how much we can make, and let's exit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although there are people like that, but I think that at the end of the day, you're helping families. You're helping to establish economic development for the businesses that you invest in,
and it's
in the community.
It's an absolute riot as well. I love doing it. I love the people that I meet, and when things are going well, it's just an absolute. I don't have any problem getting out of bed in the morning, going to work. It's been
so good.
It's been great. So.
Well, thank you so much, Tucker. Guys, if you like today's episode and you want to share with your friends, make sure to go to our YouTube channel. It's found at Acquisition IQ. And if you guys would love to come to Salt Lake City on September 3rd, we have AquaCon Live. It's our national conference for the Acquisition IQ Network. And also we have the Acquisition IQ Network. Tucker here is actually one of our founding members. And thank you so much for that, by the way. We look forward to shooting another podcast, and make sure just to comment what you guys would like to hear. We want to continue to add value to you on your journey. Thank you, and we can't wait to see you again.